Hi, this is Dr. Dave, and in this video I want to help you to get started on your project, and the way you do that is you do the first technology assignment where you graph the data. Now in order to do this, you're going to have to know where the data is. So if you go into our Canvas website and click on the Projects button, you should see a place where you see a project letter, and what I have here is that project letter. This project letter describes exactly what you're going to need to do and what the data is that you're going to start from. Each team gets a different letter, so look for the letter that corresponds to your team number, and then when you scroll down, the data that you're going to be graphing in this assignment is shown right here on the right hand side. So you might want to print that out or something like that, because you're going to need to take those numbers and you're going to have to put them into a Google Sheet. So your Google Sheet will be located in the shared folder that I've created for you. So let me go ahead and show you what that's going to look like. So when you go ahead and get into Google, you're going to log in with your Scholar email. You may have to go into the Shared with Me area, but what you should see is a folder that says Math 212 Team, whatever your team number is. You want to go ahead and go into that by double-clicking on it. And in there you're going to see two files. The green one here is a Google Sheets file, and the yellow one is a Google Slides file. You're going to be going ahead and using the yellow one to document your project at the very end. You're going to be doing your calculations in this green one here in the Google Sheets. So let's go ahead and double click on that and open that up. So when this opens up, it's going to show you two tabs here at the bottom. One is going to show your team members and their emails, so you'll be able to email them pretty easily. And there's also a team log here where you can put down the dates, what your name is, and what you've done to change the file. This is often helpful when you're trying to communicate back and forth to each other and make sure that everyone knows what you've done so far. So I'm going to go back to team members, and for this technology assignment you're going to need to be graphing either the cost data or the demand data. You need to divvy that up among your team members. So if you've only got two sets of data, so if you have 4 people on your team, 2 of you are going to have to graph the cost data and 2 of you are going to have to graph the demand data. And then when you create your graphs, I'm going to assume that you're going to play with them a little bit, and so you're going to end up getting 2 different cost graphs. It'll be the same data points, but they'll look a little bit different because you may use different colors, backgrounds, things like that. So when you're ready to go ahead and input your data, go down to this plus sign, and this is where you add a sheet to your file. So click on that, and it's going to put it in here. I'm going to click on this and drag it over so it's at the very end, and now I'm going to want to give this a name. So if you're making a cost graph, what you would do is double click on the name and type cost underscore graph underscore your last name. So my last name is Grazer, so I would use Grazer there. That helps me to identify what data you're graphing and who you are, so I can give you credit for this once you've completed it. So what we're going to need to do is go in here and type in those columns of data. So I'm going to go ahead and do the cost data here that I have. So at the top I'm going to put a title, so we're going to do units, and those units here are toasters because you're producing solar toasters. Next to it I'm going to put the cost, and that was in dollars. Now what I need to do is take that project letter and start entering in the numbers. So 1175 is the first one I have for my units, and I go down and keep typing in the numbers. Once I've gotten all the numbers for the units, then I'll go ahead and type in all the numbers for the cost. Alright, so now I've got all those numbers in. So what I'm going to want to do, and this will work the same way whether you're doing a cost graph or a demand graph. If you're doing a demand graph, the only difference is you'll have different numbers here in the second column. So what I need to do is I need to select all of these numbers and now tell Google Sheets that I want to make a graph of it. So I'm going to click on the cell that's in A1, and I'm going to hold my mouse button down and drag it. What that does is it allows me to select everything in those cells right there. So you'll see that it's shaded in when you do that. Now let's make the graph. Go up to Insert, select Chart, and it goes ahead and creates a chart for you. However, this is not the kind of chart we want. We're looking for a scatter plot. So I've got a chart editor over here, so I'm going to go over to where it says Column Chart. I'm going to click on that and then scroll down. And I'm going to look for where it says Scatter. Ah, I see it right there. Click on that, and it's now changed it to a scatter plot. The only problem here is it's got a nice vertical scale here, but look at the way the numbers are written down here. Those aren't in order there. And that's because Google Sheets just thinks of those as text. So we need to fix that. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go ahead and go to Customize. And I'm going to go down to the horizontal axis because that's where my problem is. If you look at it, it says checked here, treat labels as text. If I uncheck that, now you see it's gone ahead and graphed this from 1,000 to 1,250, and it looks a lot different now. Now what I've noticed is my very first data point there is right around 1,000. It'd be nice if I had a bigger window. So I'm going to go down here, and where I see minimum and maximum, I'm going to do a minimum of 900 and a maximum of 1,300. And when I do that, you can see that it's gone ahead and gone from 900 to 1,300. Now I also want to modify the vertical axis here. So I'm going to go ahead and make that disappear. Go down to vertical axis, and I can see minimum and maximum values here. I'm going to do a minimum of 9,500 and a maximum of 12,000. And you'll see now all of my data points are clearly kind of away from the edges of the graph, which is a good thing. I'm going to take that, I'm going to grab it and drag it over. Now I can close my chart editor, and I've got a pretty nice looking graph there. What's nice about Google Sheets is it picks up the labels here that we put up on top here, and then it puts kind of a default label up here. Now what I want you to do is to play with this a little bit. I want you to try changing colors, fonts, and things like that. To do that, I need to get back to that edit menu. So I'm going to click on this, go to those three little bars, and grab Edit Chart. When I do that, it's going to take me back to the chart editor here, and the things that change colors and how things looks is all under Customize. So if I want to play with my chart and axes titles, I'd click here. It lets me change the font if I want. I can change to a specific size if I want. I can even change the text color. So maybe I want to do it in blue. And see what it did was it changed the chart title to blue, because right now it says type chart title. If I want to change other things to blue, I click here, maybe go to my horizontal axis, and now I could change that also to blue. If I go over to vertical axis title, I can change that to blue also. So there are lots of things you can do to play with this. So try minimizing and maximizing some of these things and try change them. You can play with the legend, you can play with the horizontal, vertical axis, the grid lines, but try and make it different from another person on your team who may also be doing the cost too. Because what I'd like to see is that two of you are probably going to end up having the exact same data to work with, and two of you are probably going to do demand data, because there's usually 4 to a team. But you can make your graphs look a little bit different here, and that's what I'm kind of looking for you to do. Now, once you've gone ahead and played with this a little bit and changed it around, you don't have to do anything to turn it in as long as you have it done by the due date. After the due date, I can get into this file also. I can go ahead and graph it, and then I will leave you a score in your MyMathLab gradebook. I will also go ahead and leave a document inside this folder. It usually says something like Math 212 Project 2 Feedback Team 0. And that's all. If there's anything that I see needs to be changed, I'll go ahead and put that information in there so everyone on your team can see that. So that's all you need to do for the first technology assignment, which is graph the data. In the next technology assignment, you'll be going ahead and adding a trend line or a regression curve to your particular data.